Welcome, listeners. It is Tuesday, and we have a star-studded show today with our Elko City representatives. So pleased to have in studio. Our Assistant City Manager, Scott Wilkinson, is joining us alongside our Elko City Utilities Director, Dale Johnson. Gentlemen, thank you for being here today. It's always great to sit across from you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Scoot your microphone over a little bit. We're going to get right to it because between the two of you, we have some amazing projects that are coming up, ongoing or right around the corner. So Dale, as our Utilities Director, let's start with you on the latest on our Elko Water Modernization Plan, if you wouldn't mind.
So the modernization plan is AMI meter system and meters throughout the city. It also includes leak detection, water quality monitoring. Both those components were awarded to Ferguson for a pilot program. The meters and the AMI system were awarded to Western Nevada Supply here locally, and we'll be rolling that program out within the next month or so. We are working through some agreements and things like that with Census. That's the maker of the meters and things like that.
Oh, and we do want to mention that some of this could be impacted by a current situation in Washington, D.C. with some executive orders or some tariffs, for example. We're not being political here. We're just looking at the reality of the situation, Dale. I think there was some, last week, our city manager, Jan Baum, talked about, the reality of freezing any kind of loans or federal assistance, how this might impact our modernization. Can you tell us anything?
The tariffs could impact the meters themselves and the AMI system if that happens. Meter pits and things like that, all the brass, pipe fittings and things like that fall under Buy American, so those components have to be American made. But meters themselves, the electronic components, there's waivers and stipulations where they don't have to meet the Buy American Act.
But they would be coming from China, possibly, right?
The computer chips and things like that would be, so they could be impacted by tariffs if that happens.
And as the Assistant City Manager, Scott, I don't know if you want to add anything to that or if these are discussions that are happening yet. I mean, it's really early, right?
Well, I do believe it's pretty early, and if anybody's watching the news, you see that negotiations are ongoing each and every day on these very issues. So I think that just has to play itself out.
Kind of a fire hose right now, so yeah. So, yes. So whether or not, parts on order or not on order yet? That might tell us something, Dale.
They're not on order yet. We have a signed purchase order and things like that through Western Nevada Supply, but we are waiting on that agreement before we order parts.
Okay. So about $13 million worth of modernization?
There's about $14 million. $1.5 million of that is a principal forgiveness loan. So that's a loan that the city would not have to pay back. The remaining balance they would.
Okay. So it's kind of still unfolding. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I believe that's accurate.
Yeah,
okay.
Very fair.
All right. So we'll stay on top of it. And the Buy America is essentially, if it's always a great idea to buy local whenever you can. That goes for small business in your community all the way up. But if the supplies aren't there, I guess you have to wait for manufacture, right?
Yeah, there's also a waiver process you can go through. It is a little bit time consuming, but that can be one avenue we can go down.
All right. But as far as the city of Elko is concerned, it is full speed ahead.
We're working towards it.
All right. Thanks, Dale. So what can you tell us about American Rescue Plan Act funding? We also know that, there's been some uncertainty about that, but we have money that is in the bank and money that is spent, money that has been allocated.
Yeah, all that money's already obligated, so those funds are not in jeopardy. With those funds, we've constructed the hospital second source project. That one is 100% complete. That was a $2.7 million project that is a second source for the hospital. It ties into the Stitzel 18-inch main that feeds the Lamoille water tank, and it travels down Powder House Road to the hospital. When we had breaks on Pinion, Winchester, Lamoille Highway, things like that, that would definitely impact the hospital, and they would not have water.
So now they do.
And now they do.
So some people may have seen what looked like a road going in there along Errecart, but that accompanied those water improvements, right?
It did, and that's on the east side of the highway there. On the west side is the Errecart project that's under construction now. That's a $8.9 million project, and that's a water line extension on Errecart from the hospital to the Southside water tank at 4th Street. And there's also the Pinion Road water line extension, and both of those include the roadway alignments through those areas.
So Dale, people are pretty excited about that and thinking maybe a road is going in next.
Maybe at some time, but not right now. It's just going to be a dirt access way for the water line at this point.
Are people driving on it, or are they supposed to be? What's the status?
There's a lot of people that are driving on it, been up there. It is a construction site, so be wary of the construction equipment and things going on. But I don't believe we're going to have a way to close it off, so people would have access to it.
Is it an unpaved thoroughfare, Scott? I mean, is that fair to say if people start driving on it? Is it known as Errecart, or?
Well, we've always identified that as a future roadway with the name of Errecart on it, but really the grading does not go 100% from the state route to Bullion Road. So we're, 2/3 of the way distance-wise, but it really sets the stage for, the community to better achieve that full-length grading. And then, of course, road development with paving would probably come unless there's another opportunity with some federal funding or state funding, but that would come with development over time. Just like you see other areas of our community develop, you might see an extension of some grading and paving, and then the road ends for a period of time until, you get additional development.
One of those perfect examples we'll talk about a little bit later, but that's Jennings, and we're starting to see some more movement in that area. So there you go, Errecart, the beginning of, you can actually start to see that as connecting the Lamoille Highway with the south side. Talking with Scott Wilkinson, our Assistant City Manager. Dale Johnson is our Elko City Utilities Director. And Dale, you want to bring us up to date on some cool development at the west end of Elko with Exit 298 Lift Station.
Yeah, we can do that. The Exit 298 Lift Station project is slated to start Monday the 10th. We're having our groundbreaking meeting with NV Energy and our contractor on site. So that'll be a big project to get underway for the sewer department. This is not an ARPA funded. It's funded by the Enterprise Fund.
And what's the value of it?
It's roughly $5 million.
All right, and that's the lift station for sewer, because again, that will afford more development in that area. We've seen what Komatsu has done with that opportunity.
Yeah, that's right. And Komatsu would be one of the first customers on that, along with Golden Gate Truck Stop, Coca-Cola, the Coach Bus Barn.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, so fueling more growth, right?
Pretty exciting.
Yeah, that kind of growth helps pay for this kind of infrastructure. That's the goal.
That is the goal.
All right. So pretty cool, you guys. They're not doing a happy dance, but I can tell they're pretty happy and proud, right? It's yeah.
All of this stuff has been a long time in the works,
Yeah, it is definitely something to be proud of as a community, and having these plans in place so that when the money comes along, you can make the investment.
Yeah, and it's been phased over a number of years. We did a sewer line bore and sewer line extension out there 2 years ago about that. And then also, with our Cattle Drive project, getting water from Mountain City Highway all the way down to Komatsu is another big one. That was an ARPA-funded project.
There's a lot of infill there with some, both, I think, a mix of public lands, private property, heading up Cattle Drive, north Mountain City Highway vicinity. That should be a good place to punch in a few more homes and maybe even some more commercial development.
Yeah, these projects are, they'll facilitate future growth in Elko for decades, 30, 40, maybe even up to 50 years.
So more to come on that, and we'll just keep talking about it here on the radio. So as long as you guys are willing, thank you. Okay. So that's an update from Dale Johnson, our City Utilities Director. We'll obviously fill back in with anything we may have missed or that comes up, Dale, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Perfect. So switching over to Scott Wilkinson, our Assistant City Manager. Scott, it won't be in your time, but apparently we've hired an architect to start exploring the feasibility of building a new city hall, or at least expanding what we have.
Yeah, and I'm not too involved in that process. We have staff that works for me, Kathy Laughlin and Ralph Nergon, are working on that with the city manager. So yeah, it's exciting. Take a look at that. I think they'll go through a siting selection, take a look at the needs for City Hall. And of course, as you've seen with other facilities like our police department facility, you know, these take time. So you go through a process and then you have to have the funding.
Yeah.
So-
It's all about planning right now.
Right,
Just
right,
planning it, but it's
right.
very public, very transparent. I know our City Councilman Claire Morris and Mayor Reese Keener both expressed during the recent council meeting, they think that there'll be some community pushback, Scott, but I'm not sure. I mean, I think that people are proud of city government and what we can accomplish, and they understand that building's about 50 or more years old.
Well, there's definitely a need. You know, we have a lot of staff that's scattered across the community, across even the site at City Hall. So we're not very efficient because of that. And I think there's just a need out there to have a new facility, centralize some of our, departments, and just increase that efficiency, have a new facility. You know, the other one's pretty tired. We're looking at, some upgrades to the HVAC system that,
Millions.
yeah, it's probably going to be pushing, at least $1 million to do it correctly. We just did a new boiler project on that. And so, that project probably will get us through to where we have a new facility. But I also think that, if the community thinks about it, there might be some synergies with, a new city hall and where that's sited, how that's sited, maybe making some more parking available for the convention center and things like that. So I think if everyone's pretty smart about it, there will be, additional benefit just outside of a new building for city staff.
Yeah, that's great. That is an amazing footprint to work with, adjacent to the Elko Convention Center, which is also doing amazing things with their newfound financial freedom. And there are just some worn out modulars. Those were only supposed to be temporary, like most modulars are. We should just outlaw modulars. They're never temporary. And that goes for schools too.
That's correct.
Yeah. So exciting. So thanks for the update. The City Council did vote. They chose Lombard Conrad during the recent meeting out of a list of hopefuls, and they're very qualified. They've done so many projects in the Elko community, and they're very mindful of municipal budgets.
I believe that to be true, yes.
That was pointed out during the meeting. That's not my opinion. So, All right, Scott Wilkinson, our Assistant City Manager. Let's talk about some very necessary but a very annoying maintenance that's going to be coming up. That's the 12th Street Bridge, right?
Well, we'll see. So we have that project is out for bid, and we'll see what type of bids we receive and whether we can award a bid on that. But the plan is to have a springtime project that maybe runs May, June, maybe into July. Might start it as early as April. We'd have to work with, a successful contractor on how the timing of that gets put together. But yes, it is necessary. The plan is to strip the wear surfaces off the deck of both bridges, inspect the decks, and then put down new wear surfaces on the decks, and then take care of some concrete issues that we have on our rails, and then paint the rails up and just, kind of bring those bridges. By no means are they in poor condition. We have good reports from NDOT every couple years on those bridges. But, it's really a decision of, do you wait until things are more expensive, or do you try to address things early on and then just get more life out of those maintenance repairs at that time too. So that's the plan. There would be, a work zone on both bridges, and we'll have to manage the traffic, or the contractor will have to manage the traffic, of course, with our oversight and maybe NDOT's involvement, depending on how we need to do that during that period of time.
So, as mentioned, annoying, necessary, but certainly this is about safety. Now, Scott, does NDOT pay for this, or is this a city responsibility?
Those are city bridges.
Really? So
Yes.
how much are we looking at?
Well, the maintenance that we're looking at, the engineer's estimate's about $585,000. So that's just for the construction. You know, you're on any project, you have some design costs, and then of course you have some construction management costs, and then quality assurance costs associated with that.
And are those steel expanses? Is that what that is? Steel? Or what's the infrastructure? Is it mostly concrete?
Well,
and-
it's mostly concrete, but
Okay.
there are steel components to
Yeah.
all of that. So it's reinforced concrete, of course,
Yeah.
through all that.
And once you start looking at it, you could find things. So that's possible.
Well, yeah, but those are concrete decks. So we don't expect really to have any real issues. You might have, some unlevel surfaces that you have to deal with. So what they do on a concrete or on a bridge, and this would be new to me, but you take off your wear surface and they do what's called a chain drag test. And so you drag a chain across that deck surface and you listen for hollow sounds, which might indicate you have some delamination or something like that goes on. You might have to take some of that off and re-level that area before you put your wear surface back.
All right. So this could happen depending on how bids come in as early as April, maybe later, May, June, July. But we'll keep everybody posted, Scott.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
And let's talk about, there's so many things. How about the A-grade crossing at Hot Springs Camp? Does that have to do with the railroad?
Well, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
We want to do some street repairs down there, so we have to get, and we had to do it with 12th Street because that's an overhead crossing there, and same with Hot Springs, but that's an at-grade crossing, so we have to get rail approval.
There it is, at
Yeah.
grade. Okay.
Yeah, we have to get rail approval for that. We're working on that process right now, so I think we're pretty close to having rail approval. And then if we are able to do that, we'd look to do that in the spring also.
Okay. And again, just some routine work that needs to be done that's been scheduled.
Yeah, the streets really on both sides of the rail are in pretty bad shape down there.
Okay. Water Street repair. Scott, what can you tell us about that?
So again, that's out for bid. We tried to bid that in the fall, hoping that we could put that project together. It came in over budget. That's a project we'll see those costs reimbursed to the city by UP because it's all damaged by the derailment that occurred. And so, yeah, we're looking to hopefully have good bids, award that the end of February here, and again, see that work occur in the spring. And we don't expect that contract to run more than 45 days.
Okay. And that shouldn't inconvenient too many people. That is a little more out of the way, certainly some specific businesses, obviously. But.
Yeah, the contractor will need to work with those businesses down there and make sure they have continuity of business while that work goes on.
We're talking with our Assistant City Manager, Scott Wilkinson, about a variety of projects. Some of them are funded, obviously, by local taxpayers. Some have been American Rescue Plan Act funded projects. And, do you have any update for us on the downtown sidewalk project?
We're looking to rebid that, so that's in the works right now. We have authorization to rebid it. I think we'll be looking at probably advertising that here within a few weeks.
Okay. And Scott Tebow's working on that in his private capacity, right, as the engineer?
Correct.
Yeah,
yes,
a lot of great plans. It looks really good.
Yeah, that'd be a great project. It'll be a complicated project, no doubt, but we're working towards that end.
Yeah, you're looking at some really old infrastructure, dating back to the origins of the city.
Yes, and there's always surprises when
Surprise.
you open that stuff up.
There's a covered wagon down here.
Well, you just have conflicts with utilities that you're not aware of and things
Exactly.
like that. So,
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes.
All right. Well, downtown businesses have new leadership in the Elko Area Chamber, and I know Billy Crapo and her team are just so excited to get on with this and assisting the city in any way and communicating, some of the issues that go with a big project like that, Scott.
Yeah, and Kathy Laughlin will be working pretty closely with her going forward on that.
That's great. Mm-hmm. Yeah, between the two of those women, they will get it put together. So very exciting. So an update on the sports complex for us, Scott. I know James Wiley talked about that a little bit, but...
Was he frustrated?
He wasn't. No, he was the concrete. Well, we were early, right? I think the concrete was looking pretty good. So
yeah, we're a little bit frustrated, that we haven't completed the project by this time. So we're looking for the contractor. We've extended that contract till the end of this month. We're just looking for the contractor. They have about a week's worth of work really to wrap that up, and every time we get some pretty warm days and good temperatures, then it rains on us.
Atmospheric river.
Yeah, and we had really good weather up through even through December. In my mind, they missed a couple opportunities to really, that I felt they should have capitalized on to wrap that project up. But again, they're the contractor. I don't get to direct them on how they complete that work. They just have to complete it on time, on budget, and meet our specs. And so we're just looking for them to wrap that up. But it does look really good down there.
Should be ready to play ball this spring, though.
Yeah, we're looking for them to wrap up by the end of February so that by mid-March, if people need to utilize the facilities, we don't have any conflicts.
Okay. And then any news on a swimming pool update? We know the construction is continuing. It's not officially a city project. It's the Boys and Girls Club swimming pool, but there'll be some shared responsibilities on that.
Well, yeah, I think we're committed to help fund some of their operating costs going forward.
A pool manager?
I don't know about if we're funding any of I don't know of any HR commitments on our side. I've not been privy to any of those type of discussions, but, the project's going well, and I'm not aware of any issues with that. So I think, they got off to a little bit of a slow start. They're continuing to work. They've grouted the pools. So the project's proceeding pretty well right now.
Well, that atmospheric river should have tested that grouting, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they had those. I don't think they still had them covered, so they probably had to get their pumps out.
Oh, boy.
Hopefully, right?
Yeah, definitely. The community is just so excited for this. We hope that the very next Polar Plunge next year, because Polar Plunge is March 1st, it's going to be, again, with the slip-slidey things that they do in the park, the Special Olympics fundraiser. But we hope it's going to be in the brand-new pool next year. So Should be, yeah. So that's exciting. And then along the same lines, the Boys and Girls Club's Event Center, that's just inside Elko city limits, east of Elko. And any news on that, Scott?
I think we were able to wrap up the land conveyance maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm thinking 2, might have been 3 weeks ago. So, yeah, that should be proceeding. It's really, everything's in their court now to move forward with it.
The city's conveyance is just about 40 acres is a small section.
Oh, no, I can't remember the acreage, but it was not, I think it was like about 6 or 7 acres.
Oh, that small, right.
Yeah.
And then the most important piece, that's up for consideration tomorrow. Elko County Commissioners are considering lumping that into the land that they would like the Congress to transfer to the community. There's some other recreation sites, some other parcels. I don't have it in front of me, but included now, that's a new addition, I think that's about 400 acres held by the BLM.
Yeah, I think that's probably about right for the school district has that under RPMP now, the Recreational and Public Purposes Act. So they control that now. Boys and Girls Club is intending on, being able to have the school relinquish some of that acreage, and then the Boys and Girls Club step in and acquire that acreage under that RPMP Act for the event center.
Yep, so that's also coming together. So
correct, yeah.
And then the latest that we want to make sure, I think the community is also very excited. The infrastructure looks amazing for the VA cemetery. This is a first for Elko, and it's pretty amazing to have a cemetery like this in our community.
Yeah, and the city council committed to doing some public improvements associated with that project. And, most of the traffic will probably come off the Mountain City Highway to go to the VA cemetery. And so the city council committed to paving that section of road from the end of pavement by Adobe up to the entrance of the VA. And so we awarded that contract on January 28th. And so we should see that as a springtime project. Should be about 45 days, if that long. And I think that was just under $403,000.
So Scott, does that finish up Jennings, or is it's still headed east, right?
Oh, well, yeah, over time Jennings, is envisioned to be a loop road around Elko. And so that would extend, Jennings would continue to be extended. So we have a half section of ground further up in Section 5 that's been annexed into the city. And so Jennings would be extended into that area. North Fifth will also serve that area. And, you could see a 1,000+ homes develop in that half section of ground over time.
And will the city have enough water for that? I guess we can switch back over to Dale Johnson. 1,000 more homes in a northerly direction?
Yeah, we do have enough water for that, and as long as it's in the ground. That's one of Scott's big things. He always reminds us all of that we have to have the water in the ground. But
meaning we're an aquifer supply.
Yeah, we do have the water rights for that, so it is sustainable if we have the water. We do have a North Fifth Street tank design and water line and booster station already designed for that area, so that's all underway. So
that looks like where the growth is going.
Well, I think what you'll see with the projects that we do under ARPA, and of course the North Fifth Street infrastructure still has to be funded, and I'm not sure if we have any near-term visibility on that or not. Dale could speak to that, but what's going to happen here is you're going to have a lot of different areas of the community that can be developed. So you won't necessarily see all the growth occur in just one area. I mean, we could see growth occur on that Cattle Drive alignment. You could see growth occur on the Errecart alignment. You could see growth, up North Fifth Street. So what'll happen is you're just going to have a lot of different opportunities. And then keeping in mind this is private ground, so opportunities will occur when people have funding to take advantage of, the marketplace.
Pretty exciting stuff, though, right?
It is.
Yeah. And I think you've really enjoyed what you've been doing, huh, Scott?
I have. Yeah, it's great to see everything kind of get to that point. I've been looking at this stuff for, I don't know, about 15 years, maybe a little bit longer. Some of the, other people in the city, even prior to me, have looked at this stuff. Farron Kanakis, Dennis Crooks. And so a lot of this has been envisioned for a long time. We did annexations. We had, hundreds and hundreds, over thousands of acres of ground that weren't served. And, we're finally getting to that point. And, this ARPA funding provided a real opportunity for the city of Elko to get out in front of some of these issues.
And I think those that steered the ARPA money in our direction knew that we had the plans in place, which was really important. So we got a good chunk of change from that as a city.
And the council committed a good portion of that to the utility department, which was really important. I think if they wouldn't have done that, the hurdles are so high with our revenues that we just can't really get there in a reasonable period of time.
Right. We know cities, of course, considerably smaller, but communities throughout rural America and in Nevada included, they're stuck because they may have plenty of land, but it's barren. I mean, there's no infrastructure.
Right.
Roads, curb, gutter, sidewalk, it all costs money, water, sewer, and it just keeps getting more expensive, right, Dale?
It does.
Yeah.
We've seen that on all these projects. Prices have really jumped up since projects we've done 5 years ago.
So we can expect more of that. Well, between the two of you, is there anything that I didn't get to on my list today? Because I think, Scott, you might have had a couple things.
I think we covered them.
We did. Okay. Well, I know you're going to come back on the radio show, though, right, before the spring?
I don't know if I'm on the calendar or not.
Well, we'll just get you in here because if for people who don't know, Scott has in mind to retire this year to join his beautiful wife. Yes.
Yes, June 20th would be my last work day.
Okay.
That's the plan.
All right. Well, we will put you on the calendar. How about that? Because, again, you're among the list of people that we want to thank for careful planning and vision, and it's not always easy. And sometimes people aren't happy because, development costs a lot of money and they want things to grow where they want them to grow. And you've been a steward for the city. So,
yeah, myself and others. But
of course.
It can be tough at times for sure.
Well, thank you, Scott. We'll have you come back, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Scott Wilkinson is our assistant city manager. Dale, how about you? Did we get to all the mentions you were hoping to?
The only other thing I had was the Elko Mountain Booster Station, another one of the ARPA projects, is pretty much complete. We are waiting on one component for the generator. We do have NDEP approval to turn on the booster station, which will serve Tower Hills, the hospital, and Errecart.
Forgive me for not knowing. Is that a booster is sewer or water?
Water.
It is water. Okay.
It's water. It'll pump directly out of the Lamoille tank to our new 5,600 pressure zone.
Okay, so that just frees up more development?
More development in the Elko Mountain area and along the Errecart alignment.
Wow, those Elko Hills. Every once in a while, you'll be driving and say, what's that new light, right? Yeah. So, some projects and properties that are being developed that have relied on wells, but because they're in the city, they can tap into the city water.
Yeah, if they're annexed into the city, they could get on city water.
All right. Well, until you come back on the program, Dale, thank you. Again, I hope we got to all of the topics that listeners were most interested in today. Sure appreciate the work that you're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, and if people do want to get a water meter or they do want to find out more about modernization, again, things are rolling out as the news changes day to day. What's the best advice?
You can call the Utilities Department at 775-777-7212, or you can call City Hall.
Okay, and get working on that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dale
Thank you.
Johnson, thank you. And thank you to Scott Wilkinson. Thank you, listeners, for joining us for Elko Live today. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.